Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. Today, I am very excited to welcome Andria Radmacher. Andria is the founder of A Bigger Bottom Line, where she helps seven-figure e-commerce brands scale with clarity, automating accounting, connecting sales channels, and turning financial chaos into confidence. To start, can you share a bit about your journey into accounting and advisory?
Yeah, so I one of my first jobs actually in high school, I was doing handwritten bookkeeping in class, and my girlfriend and I were so good at it that we got like 7 months ahead of everybody else. So my first experience with bookkeeping and accounting was in high school, handwritten accounting, and then my first job was in an accounts receivable department, adding up a bunch of bills and using a 10 key calculator. So even when I was young, I was doing the very manual accounting, so I could go back to that, could go back to handwriting things into a journal. But then later I got into working for companies that were using QuickBooks and Peachtree still, the back in the Peachtree days, and saw the beauty of doing the accounting. You know, what is amazing is in some of my first jobs working in QuickBooks, I thought I was incredible for the first 4 years. Thought I knew everything about QuickBooks, and then they opened up more of the modules. And so the next 4 years, thought I knew everything, and then they opened up full cycle accounting. So it's amazing how, like, even after, like, 8 years in an accounting program like QuickBooks, you still only know about this much. So full cycle accounting is, using basically every single function in an accounting software and understanding the full life cycle of accounting. And so I did go to school for accounting and, learned the traditional side of it. But I really liked the business owner side of it. I really like my perspective was always from, working for a business owner and kind of looking at a business the way they see it. And then trying to, reconcile that with the accounting perspective. And I just fell in love with it. I loved that accounting always gave me a sense of black and white. There was an answer. There was a way to figure something out. And I really just came from like the business management like angle. I loved that. And I met a pro advisor, my first pro advisor when we were trying to fix QuickBooks, and I was just dazzled by their breadth of knowledge and how they were able to communicate with a business owner. And so that really kept me on that path to like stay in the accounting lane instead of just more of like business admin. I really liked the accounting side of it. So that was my
I think it's incredible, like what we have been able to see in our profession, right? Because we started with everything very manual, right? Handwriting,
yeah.
how like everything is moving so fast and how everything is evolving. I think that yes, we have been, I don't lucky to see that transition. And yeah,
Yeah.
and also like looking from the business side, like it's important, right? For us, like to help them achieve their goals and to see how we can transfer the numbers to something that they can understand and they can actually make decisions with that.
Yeah, and I always saw that, like, there was only so much I could do to help, like, as an employee in a business because sometimes, the business owner has a vision for where they want to take the business. And, they're understanding the world through their perspective. And accounting has a very different kind of set of rules and principles. What I realized was I was going to be more effective in helping business owners if I was coming to them as a consultant. And so that's why in about 2015, 16, I had started before. I was always moonlighting, doing like books on the side. But I officially started A Bigger Bottom Line about 10 years ago. And that's when I was able to really help business owners because, I could come in as a consultant, come in as an advisor. And instead of them kind of I call it sometimes it's a self-sabotage to the business owner's business. How they're gonna describe my job role in the accounting department and the kind of the CFO advisory side. I found that I'm way more effective coming in from the outside. Yeah, so I love that
So they
about
listen more to you, like when you come as a consultant, than when you are working.
yeah, it can be a challenge for any, all of you accountants out there that know this that are actually working for a business owner. What comes across your desk that has nothing to do with what you're an expert in that kind of pulls you away from your cycle of, deadlines. And accounting it's very consistent, and you've got to meet those targets. So anyway,
I know.
that's
Yes,
that's my
I know.
background.
I wanted to ask you, can you give us a concrete example where of how advisory looks like in practice?
Yeah. So, when you're an accountant or doing the bookkeeping, your job is really just to get those numbers right in the financial, reconciling, getting things right, and then delivering a report. And that's where it ends, really. When the business owner says why this or that, there's much advice you're giving to the why or understanding of these financials. You're maybe just sourcing where the transaction came from, like, describing the receipt, describing kind of what happened, but not the why behind it, or like potential ways things could be different. So I feel like when to be a good advisor, you still have to have those fundamentals, because you really still need to have this very sort of forensic accounting understanding of how things came about, how they could have come about, how they could have not come about so well. And then you can guide a business owner with advisory on next steps. And you can then take the numbers to forecast and look into the future. So instead of doing the rear view mirror look, which is really just kind of your fundamental bookkeeping and accounting, advisory really, you start looking forward. You start taking these numbers that are real time, and you start helping the business owner, make better decisions in the future, how to drive their business. So for me, with advisory, I use the Value Builder platform. And this really helps, even for businesses that aren't trying to sell their business. It helps a business owner if they just want to grow and maybe spend less time in a business. You need to start looking at your business a lot more holistically. There's about 8 different areas of every business and it's all, it's all interrelated. So it's saying like, oh, well, my accounting doesn't relate to my marketing, or it doesn't relate to this, my operations. Actually, they're all interrelated. Advisory is taking that step back, looking at the bigger picture, and kind of looking at the business holistically, and then seeing where the numbers kind of tie into that. You what our customer base is, how dependent is the business on the owner? How many SOPs do we have out there? And I'm come from the more CFO advisory, more transformational business change. And so that's what I love to do. I like to really, from the advisory standpoint, I like to use the numbers to fuel what are the areas in this business that can just holistically grow it, so that either the business owner can spend less time in it, the business owner can make more money, bigger bottom line. And ultimately, what's the end game? What do you want at the end of this? Is it to keep the business forever and just have it be your retirement? Excuse me. Or do you want to sell it one day? Because what I found is, if you're trying to do either one of those things, it's kind of the same stuff. You still need good numbers. You still need to be setting goals and targets, and you still need to be looking at your business more holistically than just, oh, let's get the numbers right for that tax return at year end. Advisory is, I think, getting back to what accountants were actually designed to do on this planet before the war happened in America and made everything in America about tax returns and compliance, right? So prior to that, for hundreds and almost 1,000 years, accountants were here to be advisors. We were here to help business owners know what their numbers were so that they could achieve their goals in business, not just get a tax return.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And do you have some success story that you want to share, like something, some, I don't know, some business where you apply these advisory skills and you have seen a change, or that you can share with everyone?
Yeah, I think, most of the clients that have come to me that have had like a bookkeeper before or an
Mhm.
account before, all will probably say the same thing. I didn't realize how much I didn't know about my financials. I didn't
Yes, you don't know
realize.
what you don't know, right?
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And I think a lot of business owners out there think that they're supposed to get this financial report at year end and know what it means. And I think it's
Mhm.
really hard for them to ask questions about it because, hey, they're a business owner, they've been doing business. They feel like they're supposed to know everything. They're
No.
telling everybody in their company how to do their job so that they can win. And I think they don't have that relationship with the person who's delivering the financials. Maybe there's like, I don't know, a hierarchy shift there. So they don't ask the right questions. And so many times they're just getting a set of financials and going, okay, I guess that's right. But when you work with an advisor like me, I come in and I'm your help. I am your friend. I am all in service to helping you understand your business so we can course correct throughout the year as we need to. And so I try to illuminate what these numbers mean, where they come from, why they're important, and how they're going to help us drive towards the goals that they want. And it's a game changer. I think the communication that, advisory accountants show up with is unparalleled. I think most people are used to dealing with somebody who it's very difficult to get in touch with them. They don't really know what they need. And some business owners, I think, sadly, think that that's good. They've gotten so used to not hearing from their CPA or accountant that they think no news is good news, right? Most of the time, it's just the opposite. No, it just means you don't have clarity on what's going on. So, when business owners work with us, immediately they're like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know we spent money there. I didn't know we made money there. I didn't know we were even putting that number in the wrong place in my financials. Heck, I didn't even know, honestly, how to read my financials. I didn't kind of understood the profit and loss, but that balance sheet thing, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me, usually because it's wrong. And that's what we come in and help pay and clean up and understand. Unfortunately, I've seen clients lose hundreds of thousands of dollars on taxes because the financials were wrong and they just didn't understand them and they didn't want to ask the questions to understand them or do the work. And so when we come in, we illuminate all of these tax problems that are because of financial statements they don't know. We get that fixed. And I have seen hundreds of thousands of dollars saved in tax. We have seen money made, that bigger bottom line increase, because suddenly business owners are making decisions before the problem happens. They can see it in the future. So, I've had clients not choose to hire a particular person because like they saw that the cash flow would go down if they did that. I've seen them hire the right person because even though it was going to cost them some money, the evidence of what it would create in additional sales was way worth the benefit of the cost. The benefit totally outweighed the cost. And so making those decisions of should we spend money this way or not, that has been transformational in the businesses I've seen. And I love hearing those stories from my business. I love hearing like we saved this much money on our amended tax because you fixed our financials. We got to amend our tax return and make all this, claw this money back. And now we actually know where we're going. We know we're not ever going to be in that situation where it's just a complete blind side. We know that it's, now we get to make decisions in our business with these numbers instead of it being like looking in the rearview mirror once a year and seeing what happened.
I know that we will be shifting. Like we were talking about, we started with paper, right? And now we have QuickBooks. QuickBooks, like it's like now it's a full ERP, and now it's like we have now also automatization, right? And we have AI coming. So how do you see that impacting accounting firms over the next years? And I wanted to ask you also if you have personally adopted.
Yeah, the AI. The first thing I like to speak to that is, a lot of this is nothing new. A lot of this is new in the minds of the general public understanding about AI. But so much technology has been out there for like, accounting firms, for the accounting world that actually hasn't been adopted. So the majority of these amazing efficiencies, for the most part, sadly, have not been getting adopted. Now, all of the firms that have been on the cutting edge of this stuff, this is like amazing. They're so happy to have every extra piece of help we can have from AI and automation. And, in some ways, it used to be very easy to kind of like, there were a lot of things 10 years ago that were groundbreaking new automations
Hmm.
that were exciting. And a lot of those things have broken actually due to security, need for extra security. So it's been really interesting in the last 10, 15 years to watch how technology, there were these sweet spots where everything was like, even better than it is today, but it's had to take steps back to become more secure. And so it's a little bit frustrating. For my standpoint, when I was working in companies, it was very difficult to have a business owner understand like we need to move with technology. We need to be more efficient. We need everything to be more efficient. So I'm spending more time reviewing the numbers instead of doing manual things. And that can be a difficult sell to a business owner. So when I was able to start my own business and come in as a consultant, it was much easier to be able to say, hey, this is what you need to do. If you don't jump on technology now, you're going to miss the boat and you're going to spend a lot of money on manual entry. So I've been trying to do everything online and integrating with other systems and looking for as much automation as possible and people who would embrace automation for the last 15 years. AI has been amazing at helping with that, but it's such a give and take. You still have to manage it as if you're managing a brand new employee with a risk there. You can't fully deploy it. Like there's incredible stuff that you could put on a QuickBooks to just run things, and the best of us in the industry are like, that's really nice for a couple stuff. We're never going to right now we're not going to just give that to our clients or staff to use. It's too unruly. But other things are fantastic if you can keep the AI in a controlled environment, to like look through sorted data and then make a decision. These are incredible add-on things that used to take us hours to do, to look through, to sift through, and now it's much faster. But the decision of what to do next is still such a human decision. And I think AI has really helped people have a better conversation with their accountants and advisors. Like they're able to answer, I like to call it like kind of the fundamental, maybe like grade one, early grade school questions, right? Like it's really difficult to have a conversation about somebody about, physics in college if you have like no basis for that. So a lot of business owners, again, sometimes it's really hard for them to ask questions about. They can feel more comfortable asking AI. They can get educated, and then it basically funnels them down to a decision question that is going to be based on experience. And that's where I think the best of us shine, because that's what we want to be asked. Of course, we're here to answer fundamental questions. But I think for all of us who have been sitting in the realm of we really want to actually help the business understand how to make more money, we're not just here to like post transactions and get a report out. If that's been your jam for the last 20 years, that is definitely being disrupted. If the super basics of bookkeeping that gave, because I mean, hey, all of us bookkeepers, we love getting the statement, a big cup of coffee, and sitting down to QuickBooks and reconciling a bank statement. It is just one of the happiest things, and to see the big green check box at the end that everything's reconciled and nobody's bugging us. We love that. But that stuff needs to be automated now. That stuff needs to be, it's the good reward that you get from having done the good, accounting work before. But what's valuable to our clients is those insights. To get clients good insights, they do need fundamental education so that they can get to those good questions. And then when they get to that nervous point of, I've been talking to ChatGPT about this thing, I feel like I should do this thing, but am I right? Am I wrong? Great. Now call your financial advisor. Call your accountant now. They're going to love talking with you in that moment, or at least they should. And if they don't, it's because they've been stuck in, maybe not adapting. Yes, not adapting to kind of showing up as an advisor, showing up as somebody who wants to really help the business owner. So for AI, um, We still keep it in a very controlled environment in my practice. I keep an eye on it. I mean, obviously I use ChatGPT every day. We're trying to always build automations and flows to review information. So again, we get down to those decisions sooner, but it still does come down to a choice. And I think a lot of those choices are still the same that they've been for years. And maybe AI is helping us get to conclusions faster and get to presenting the choices sooner to business owners. It's still about the business owner's ability to decisively make a decision
Mhm.
instead of trying to know everything. And, again, that comes down to the trust of your advisor. And it does still come down to a business owner being able to tactically make decisive decisions based on good data. The data is better now, and we can get there sooner. And so there should be more confidence now in making those decisions on the numbers we're providing. But that's where the personal development really comes in as a business owner. Like, you've got to really work on that personal development to be able to
Right.
make those
So
decisions.
use that information to make the decision, right? I agree with what you are saying. Yes, completely makes sense. I have one more question for you. So if you could redesign one part of your business, what would you focus first?
If I could redesign a part of my business,
Yes.
when I started my business, I started with the tiered pricing,
Mm-hmm.
bronze, gold, silver, gold. And like most small firms do, you take whoever comes to the door, right? And you kind of give yourself away. And so slowly through the years, I've learned more. I've taken on more software education. I've had to train a ton of people, fire a ton of people, create a bunch of SOPs and create systems and things in the background. And so our prices have gone up because we can now see better that the price needs to go up for the enhanced service we're providing and things like that. But it's so hard in our industry with that scope creep. Because if somebody starts in, a monthly program, their business is at a certain level, they tell you a certain amount of what's going on in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that challenge to, where do we draw the line that it's now time for them to upgrade or add on services to get into this next program because their business has grown. And that means more complexity. And that means they need more of us, more of our attention, more of our oversight. So if I could have restructured it, I think I would have actually been a lot more detailed about like just precisely what goes into those packaged services. And that's actually what I've been working on in the last year is you kind of go through this like make it simple and then the simplicity moves to misunderstanding and out of scope, stuff that's just out of scope, and you get bored, you get crushed. So then you get complicated, then you get too overcomplicated, then it doesn't make sense. And then you are always constantly moving back to a simplicity. But I think if I could redesign things, it would have been easier for me to be very clear about those package services if I could have tried to really choose a niche earlier on instead of the broad expanse that most of us start with. Because then you really can go, hey, you in this industry, you in e-commerce growing your business to this point, you need this tech stack. And when you're at this, standard of sales and stuff, we can have you at this level. When you hit this level, you need us to be doing more. So we need you in this other program and we need you to be using this technology stack because it's going to make everything better. Trust me, it's going to make everything better. I have spent a small fortune on all of the technology, all of the things. I know too much, I know too much about too many things, and I think we hear that a lot in our industry. If I could have started over, I would have niched down a little sooner. But I get it, and I know there's a lot of accounting firms out there who were told that, and it can be hard. So I think really the idea is get very clear, go on the journey of getting very clear about what goes in your service offerings.
Mm-hmm.
It protects you as a business, and it helps the client as well. Because it's all about education in the end. In the end, we're educators. We're educating our clients on where their business is and why they need additional services. I can't tell you how many times I come into a business and they've been paying, I mean, peanuts for their accounting service, and they don't understand why they're getting terrible tax returns or they're getting bad advice. Well, you know, yeah. So sometimes that's, that's our fault in the accounting industry, is that we're not pushing our clients enough to educate them on, hey, you are at this level of business. You need to be getting more from me. You need to pay me to give you more, because trust me, like, without having those insights, it's going to cost you more later. So I think yeah, just, picking more of a niche, which is what we're working on this year. We're getting a little more niche down. But we have vast understanding of technology. So if I could have stayed in one lane, it could have been like, just that one. But I will say it's a value add to my clients that I know that much, because if it moves out into another industry or whatever, we have a huge breadth of knowledge in
Of course,
how
yes. Mhm.
technology's changed over, yeah, in all these different industries and things. So maybe it's not for naught. It's valuable, and it can be valuable to the accountants, but I would focus on very clear tiered pricing. So that if you go out of scope, it's very clear when there's a change order. So that's, I think, important for our industry. Instead of just hourly billing, which I only went down hourly billing for a few clients when I started, and never again. Never again will I take on. I'll do a 1 hour non-member meeting. That's what I'll do. You want me to come in and just give you advice, no strings attached. I don't do any work afterwards, but you want me to come look into the books and see. I'm happy to be there for an hourly rate because it's done at the end of the hour. But I don't go do projects unless it's something super complicated. We scope it. We're like, has to be hourly because there's no way to know.
There's no way that you can predict how long it's going to take you, right? I think it's good to set up expectation for both sides, for your side and the business, and this allows the business, if they have a question or they want to contact you, it's more fluent, the communication in that case.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then I wish I could go back in time and have been able to pick the right practice management tool. Like, that is a fundamental, but it's just taken years for these practice management tools. And even the best ones that are out there right now, it's still like they all have their pros and cons. But the sooner an accounting firm gets into the right practice management tool, it is a game changer. Mostly for the fact that good practice management software will force you as an accounting firm owner to start thinking through what you probably haven't thought through in your accounting firm. And if you're just using like a Monday or an Asana or a ClickUp, and you can kind of design it however you want, which we all have done, and I've spent years and thousands of dollars wasted there too. It helps you kind of get the idea of what you want. It's good for a startup company, but the sooner you can get into an actual accounting practice management tool, your clients benefit and you benefit as a firm owner.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Thank you so much for being here and for all your insights. I really appreciate having you here. I wanted to ask you if the listeners wants to hear more from you or want to contact you, where they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm on a bigger bottom line, just abiggerbottomline.com. So you can find me online there. I'm remote. Our firm is fully remote. It's me. I've got a team of about 7, 8 people behind me. And so we're very available online. We do Zoom meetings anytime you want to book, and just find me online. You can book a free consultation. If you're an accountant and you want to talk shop with another accountant, I love that. I've been a part of a lot of the industries that we have out there. I've kind of taken a step back only because been enjoying life. Life's been and yeah, I'm in growth mode and I'm coming back. But yeah, feel free to reach out. I love talking with other accountants. We have a unique perspective in life that I think is only shared by us. So happy to commiserate and offer my advice to anybody out there. So biggerbottomline.com. I do consulting for accounting firms as well as businesses. So if you need help, even asking a question about a piece of technology, I've probably kicked the tires on it and probably spent way too much money on using it. If not still using it, I probably had some experience with it in the past. On our website, actually, if you go to our website and you go to my technology and software page, you can see a huge list of all of these programs we have experience with, which is pretty vast.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Very
Thank
nice to be
you.
talking to you. Bye.
Bye.